We talk about how recruiting is so damn intense at the moment. Gosh, inquiries are up, even though the total agent pool has shrunk considerably, meaning that productive agents are now swarmed with offers and noise. Our broker partners, they forward us everything that they get from all of the other brokerages that we're competing against in a market. Not that there's that much in the way of flyers floating around, but some are going fairly hard and heavy on one channel, email. And what it's done is it's made email the worst converting channel. It used to be the best converting channel for recruitment and for everything. Like my entire business for the last 20 years was really driven off of email marketing. We work the same database, the same people, 7 years later, 10 years later, 25 years later, there's still brokers that have been receiving our emails since day one, and they finally, after 20 years, convert into a customer. It does still work, but it's not a case, and very similar to postcards in real estate, it's not a case that you can send 5,000 postcards out and you get 2 or 3 listings from that, pretty much guaranteed. It used to be the case that we sent 100,000 emails out and we'd get 100 website design clients out of that. New. It used to be that we were looking for a new broker partner for recruitment, even just 5 years ago. And we'd pop an email out to 10,000 people and it would fill the calendar up for 3 weeks with 8-10 appointments a day. It doesn't happen anymore. The conversions are inbound, and it's either the amount of emails that are flying around, but more so, I think it is related to the way AI has changed how people analyze, take referrals, make decisions, and so forth. These conversations that are being had when it comes in from an AI referral, whether it is an agent, right? We had one a couple of weeks ago. Hey, Mercedes, who's the best 100% broker to work for in Orlando, Florida? Call this guy, right? The guy calls up, spoke to one of our recruiters and said, I've got to join the brokerage because my car told me to. Same thing with ChatGPT. Within, we've seen a change, and while we've been optimizing our recruitment landing pages, I don't necessarily think that it's just our optimization that's made the difference, but they've gone from 6 minutes on average, 4 minutes on average, 3 minutes on average. We're now at 2 minutes on average to convert somebody that's come from ChatGPT or Perplexity. And those are the two main ones that we see. But so referrals that have come over from the language models are converting in an average of 2 minutes. Like literally they're scrolling the page, right? They land on a careers landing page. They've had a 20-minute conversation with the AI. They've come over, scrolled the page. Yep, that's exactly what it told me. Join now. And then we remove the friction from this process by adding electronic sign-up. So they click join now, fill out their information, sends them straight over to an independent contractor agreement. They can sign that online just like a DocuSign, sends it over to the broker. The broker ratifies the by going into e-licensing in whatever state they're in and approving the agent's license. They can't do any business, of course, until their license is approved anyway. So it doesn't matter that contract's floating online. This applies to 100% brokerages, some of the boutique firms that want to meet with people and make sure that they're the right fit. But a lot of that qualification, we can do all of that stuff online and enable you to recruit 24/7. And inquiries have off the charts at the moment, and it is the end of the year, right? And it recruiting season, as everybody's going to pitch, right? But sending out a few emails, firing up, a last minute campaign that you run for 2 weeks, on one channel of email alone. Join us. It doesn't work like that, right? Then you're not selling a new iPhone. You're recruiting a human being. So, while the number of inquiries are up and people are shuffling around, the agent pool of, let's say, qualified agents is shrinking. 70% of all agents haven't closed a single transaction. It's actually above 70%, it's 72% or something like that. Haven't closed a single transaction. Those that have closed a transaction, that is one single transaction or more. We know from the tens of thousands of agents that we've recruited that the majority of those agents are doing literally 1 or 2 transactions over the course of a year. I know agents, or agents that I have known for 20 plus years that have consistently done 15, 20, 25 transactions a year in the $1 million plus range have last year done 8 and this year done 2 transactions themselves. Some of that's the market, some of that is their deference telling their clients to wait, right? And it would be in the client's best interest to wait, and the money will come back to them later. Interest rates are shockingly high for people. Not that they'll ever necessarily get back down to the 3% teaser rates, which only initially came in as teaser rates, but give somebody an inch, they'll take a mile. And, that's another rant for another day. But if you're selling hope and spirit to people, you're going to lose to brokers that are selling systems, guarantees, and a real operating model for agents. So our pool has shrunk. If let's say, we're not interested in those 70%, right, that haven't done a single transaction. They might come back. We might want some numbers and things like that, but it's a weighted balancing act. If we take the 30% and we say, okay, let's take an agent that's done 2 transactions, we'll have them. How do we get that agent to 4 or 6 transactions, right? Any other brokerage that doesn't have this system in place to enable that agent to do more is picking up an agent that's doing 2 transactions. We want to take the agent that's doing 2 transactions, and we want them to get to 4 or 6 transactions in the next 18 months. Then we have tripled our income from that agent and tripled our market share compared to that agent's productivity if they were at another brokerage. So I'll give you the soundbite. If you're still selling hope and a split, you're losing to brokers that are selling a system, a guarantee, and a real operating model for agents. Indies are winning the recruiting wars at the moment. So agents crave trusted leadership and growth systems over just a license hang. Indies differentiate via hands-on operational support, no big brand logos, no franchise fees. Agents are bolting from franchises for brokers with real pipelines and real scripts. And the franchise businesses that we're recruiting for, Berkshire Hathaways, the Remaxes, we're not selling the big logo anymore. It's not a case, come to us, we've got technology. Come to us, we've got the big logo. That is not what is attracting agents to the brokerage. You need the employing broker brand, and you need to differentiate yourself from the Coldwell banker down the street. Everybody that's interviewed with a Coldwell banker before thinks they know all Coldwell bankers. What they don't know and what they need to know in order for you to recruit them to your Coldwell banker office is the secret sauce that makes your franchise different to another franchisee, let alone different to another franchise in its entirety. They're all using Bold Trail, formerly KV Core. They're all using SkySlope. They're all using this system, that system, and they all have the same thing, right? They call it technology, and it comes with a technology fee associated with it. They didn't use that technology at the last brokerage that they were at. They didn't have the system to program into the technology to execute in order for it to work. And I get asked all the time, what's the best CRM? Right? The best CRM is the one that you use. And unless you've got a system and everything that happens in the CRM, we have a rule internally that if it is not in our CRM, it doesn't exist. And I don't talk about it. If it's not in the CRM, we don't talk about it. It doesn't exist. You put it in the CRM, then we talk about it. And your real estate business and your real estate system, if you're an agent, has to function the same way. And there are some great systems out there. Everybody's pulled back. Now is really the time when agents should be designing systems, but they're not systems architects, right? We're systems architects. We put these plans in place. So while we're recruiting agents, there's a 360-degree view here of how do we attract them? How do we retain them? And then how do we increase their productivity in order to get the most out of that particular agent? Because productive agents don't leave brokerages. It's when the production starts to slide that they start looking at other opportunities, whether it's to tighten up their belts, the purse strings, right? Higher split because they're bleeding money somewhere else, right? If we can plug the hole in the expenditure and the conversions that are going out the door, put a system into place, build the technology, not charge them technology fees. Then we can retain those agents. Us, as a pay-per hire recruiter or a commission-only recruiter, we're not getting paid unless those agents are closing deals. We get $100 a closed transaction side from any agent that we recruit for a broker. If that agent only does one transaction a year, we're only getting $100 out of every agent that we've recruited, right? We want any agent that does one transaction a year to do 2 or 3 or 6 or 10. And we want anyone that we've hired to try and double their production. So the benefit to us of developing these systems internally, from technology that we can provide to the agents, or training materials, educational materials, coaching. We've been starting teams all across the country, doing hyperlocal marketing. We've put the dollars and invested into the lead generation, helping them set up farms and working with them to make themselves the go-to experts in any given neighborhood. That's the stuff that has increased our bottom line. Our interests are 100% aligned with our broker partners. We want to recruit as many agents as possible for the best brokerage in the area, and we want to retain those agents for as long as possible. And then the cream on the top is to increase the production of each one of those agents, double it, triple it, and make the most out of that market. We don't need to recruit for every broker in every market. We just need to recruit the best agents for the best broker, and we can make any broker the best broker. We just need to put the systems in place to do so. Whether it's a franchise brand, whether it's an independent, it's the employing broker brand, which is not your join.remax.com /whatever website. It is separating yourself from the Remax, creating a success story to tell agents, creating the testimonials, and building on a foundation that dominates the market. And we want to systematically take down those other signposts and help agent by agent. The retention, I can't tell you, is so much more important than the recruitment itself. Remax, they've been highly publicizing their competitive agent attraction strategies, as they put it. They call it a fresh playbook for standing out, digital funnels, guarantees, and niche value propositions amid agent shortages. So they're using video testimonials, automated nurturing, first close guarantees, convert 3 times better than cold calls. It's not attracting agents. Remax brokers in general are the ones I find they're really considering not staying with the brands, the ones that they're locked in, right? But I talk to tons of these guys every week, and they've got X number of $100 per agent. They've got a minimum number of agents that they've got to pay for based on whatever Remax has dictated. That franchise fee goes up every year. It's nice that they have the cap. Coldwell Banker, Sotheby's, they don't have the cap. It's nice. There's a little bit of autonomy there, but again, you're not selling the Remax brand here. You need to sell your franchise, right? Each one of these franchises has, Remax Platinum, Remax First Class, Remax One, Remax this, right? You're selling your bit of it. That's your employing broker brand. We're attracting agents to that. What if you decide you don't want the Remax brand anymore? That all of the agents that you've recruited, are they going to stay with Remax? No, they're going to come with you if you are the one that's turned it around for them. If you're with Remax right now, we can sell it, right? The cap's in place. We can sell a Remax model. There are some antiquated ones that I wouldn't touch with a barge pole. We don't mess around with any of the MLM, the multi-level marketing real estate officers, the real brokers, the EXPs. EXP came onto the scene as pump and dump. Here we are, we're a technology company. We've got this, we've got that, we've got stock options. We're going to make you pay into the stock options, right? We're going to print some more money after the IPO and dilute the stock options that you've got. So they're now absolutely worthless. Can make some, downline to the point where people didn't even want to work with EXP agents anymore. They crossed the street when they saw them coming in the other direction, because it was just a recruiting party. Like ACN, Herbalife, and all of that other stuff that I've been tricked into go into one of those before. Who are you? These agents are now spending what, all of their time trying to recruit other agents for their downline, not selling real estate. Yeah, 70% of them did no business, right? 70% of your downline did no business. $100 a transaction, and you're busy trying to recruit these people. We do $100 a transaction, right? We get the same, but we're recruiting, thousands and thousands of agents over, year after year after year for brokerages all over the country with different models. So there's some diversification there, different needs, right? You're selling one thing to some people, and your downline, is not unlocked until you've got X number of people across. Like any MLM, the only people that win are those at the top. Real Broker, same thing. If you missed the IPO for EXP, come to Real Broker, right? We've got an IPO coming up, right? Same thing. And they're making TikToks that are disparaging to buyers and sellers. They're rude to watch. You're like, really? You're talking about your clients this way? No wonder you don't have any clients, right? You're just making jokes internally, trying to create content that's funny on the inside, as a quiet joke in between agents, but you're not selling any houses. There are a few producers there, but that's the end of it. Again, multi-level marketing. Everybody at the top is going to make some money. Everybody further down is not. Let's talk about NAR, right? They're trying to save their asses. In the news this week, NAR's 2026 to 2028 strategic plan briefing. MNKY writes, live session on rebuilding trust, agents and recruiters watching for policy ripples into hiring. NAR are trying to justify their existence. They finally acknowledged that the Thomson broker model existed. Can you believe that they've been ripping off brokers and agents for 30, how long have they been in business? 50 years or so, right? So you call up NAR or you call up an MLS, right? So CRMLS in California, MetroList in California, they have always been independent in that you can join MetroList or CRMLS without joining the National Association of Realtors, and you always have been able to do that. But if you call up the Sacramento County Association of Realtors, the San Diego County Association of Realtors, and you say, I'd like to join the MLS, they'll say, okay, you need to join the San Diego County Association of Realtors, the California Association of Realtors, the National Association of Realtors, and then you can join CRMLS or MetroList MLS. Same thing in Florida, same thing everywhere. You call up the board, they tell you that you have to join the board in order to join the MLS, and you don't. For many of them across the country, you never had to. Florida, Georgia, Alabama, legally, they can't ask you to. In Florida, Alabama, Georgia, there was a lawsuit. A guy last name Thompson sued the association because they wouldn't let him join because he was black. And because he couldn't join the MLS, which he needed to use in order to be a real estate agent to list properties. So instead, so he sued, and there's now a legal precedent in those 3 states that you have to be allowed to join the MLS without joining the National Association of Realtors. They can't, in those 3 states, have realtor-owned MLSs. So that's a legal precedent there. In some of the states, there's debate about it. There was some issue in Arizona recently where NAR was going to drop the charter of the Arizona Realtors because they wanted to allow agents to join the MLS without joining NAR. They called it, it wasn't MLS of choice, it was just MLS choice. There's a few of these floating around. But anyway, NAR decided against that and have now publicly acknowledged that the Thomson broker, the non-NAR, the MLS only, whatever you want to call it, model exists, and NAR are scrambling to find a reason to charge people thousands of dollars a year to be a member of their organization when they've put so many restrictions in place on the agents who buy as broker agreements, all of the commissions in the MLS. If you're not a member of the National Association of Realtors, you can follow the state law. These are not laws that have been put into place. These are terms of an agreement of a lawsuit, and they would just simply be in breach of that lawsuit settlement if they continue to operate in such a way. So if you leave the National Association of Realtors, you also leave all of those settlement terms behind as well. So no more buyer's broker agreement, no more buyer's broker agreement. There's a laundry list of things they put in place following that, as everybody knows. But that has left NAR trying to justify its existence, and they're really struggling. I did hear one person this week talk about the legal hotline. I do question whether a lawyer on the end of a phone of a hotline is really a lawyer, or how that's structured. They may be under a law firm, like we had when we had loan modification companies and so forth, where the hotline was sponsored by lawyers, but I don't know that the person at $350 an hour is sitting answering the phone. I don't know how accurate the advice is that they give. I was actually going to do a test this week and call up one of the legal hotlines and pose a question to them and see what kind of answer that I get. Something quite simple, like what information do I need legally on my business card, right? And see what they come back with. And we can see whether that's worth their salt. So needless to say, real estate recruiting in 2025 is an absolute bloodbath. It's high stakes, it's unforgiving. Broker inquiries for top producers are spiking, even though the overall pool of agents are shrinking dramatically. If you're if you're looking for a 10-deal closer, these people are getting 5 to 10 offers every week. There are brokers paying signing bonuses at the moment to hire those kind of people. So our focus is strongly on those. Our average agent does 10 transactions a year, but our average agent stays with the broker for 5 years. That doesn't necessarily mean that the agent that we're hiring is coming in the door doing 10 transactions. But if we can bring someone in the door that's doing 3, 4, 5 transactions a year, and we can coach them and train them to get them to 12 transactions a year over the next few years, bring them into the brokerage with some systems, support them endlessly and fanatically, those people are going to stay. Retention. And I think it's the same as agents being transactional. And this is a big shift in our business. Like our headline, is retention now. We've always been recruit. We've recruited thousands of agents. We got into this business to start with because I started a real estate brokerage and hired 120 agents in the first year. The purpose of the brokerage wasn't even to hire, but nobody focused on retention, right? It's like a leaking bucket. Everybody is constantly just pouring water in, pouring money in, trying to fill the seats of the agents that they're losing. They're not getting ahead. We want to light a fire under the recruiting model. We want to seal up those holes in that bucket. We want to recruit, but we want to retain. And then we want to work with them, coach them, produce educational materials en masse for brokers all over the country to put into place that is unique, that is out of the box, that works. Go back to some of the old school grassroots that some of my best agents in the whole country are using. They're still doing the movie night thing. They're still doing postcards. They're still doing mailers. They're still door knocking. These things work in conjunction with your social media and so forth. But that's not the be all and end all. And any lead that comes in to a Zillow agent's hand is just a client whose previous agent didn't follow up with them. And we want to stop that, right? If you have done 200 transactions over your career and you've been in the business for 20 years, right? Let's just say that a house changes hands every 10 years. So every single one of your clients should have bought and sold 2 houses with you. So if you've sold 200 homes, does that mean that you've got less than 100 clients? Because each one of them has bought or sold a property at least 2 times with you. Maybe you double end them. Maybe you've got 50 clients, right? And 200 transactions over the last 20 years. Or is your needle sitting more towards the 200 clients and 200 transaction range? And if that's the case, you suck at follow-up. And we need to fix that, because every client that you've got is worth more referrals to you. They're worth more transactions to you. They're a hell of a lot cheaper than going out and finding a new client every time. So I'll leave you with a final thought. 2025 recruiting rewards systems over splits and producers over headcount. So if you're chasing warm bodies and it's killing you, get in touch with my team here at MNKY Agency and we can help plug the holes in that bucket and light a fire under your recruiting efforts. For more of this, please do subscribe to the channel. It really helps us. And click that like button if you enjoyed the video. I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching.